Tonight on NewsWatch, a top al-Qaeda leader in an American court. Why the terror case against Osama bin Laden's son-in-law is being fought in New York.
Plus, preparing to pick the Pope. We'll look at when the conclave to elect the next Catholic leader will begin.
And a bird watcher's paradise in the Middle East. We're going to show you where and why it's become a huge phenomenon. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Osama bin Laden's son-in-law makes his first appearance in an American courtroom. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. Suleiman Abu Ghaith was captured earlier this year. He's one of al-Qaeda's most senior leaders.
Instead of going before a military tribunal, he appeared today in New York federal court to face terror charges, a move that some lawmakers say doesn't make sense. In this video, Suleiman Abu Ghaith, who served as al-Qaeda's spokesman, celebrates the 9/11 attacks on the U.S. Prosecutors say he warned there would be more. In federal court, he pleaded not guilty to a charge he conspired to kill Americans. Officials tell ABC News Abu Ghaith also did not hold back when it came to revealing key intelligence about al-Qaeda's current status, personnel, and finances. One U.S. prosecutor says Abu Ghaith made an extensive post-arrest statement that was 22 pages long.
This is a man who was in the inner circle of bin Laden's al-Qaeda operations, and now we have him alive, and he's talking.
According to U.S. officials, the CIA tracked the movement of Abu Ghaith for years, from Afghanistan to Iran, then to Turkey, where he was arrested in January.
Once he left Iranian territory and got into Turkey with very close monitoring by U.S. government agencies, his days were numbered.
This is one of the first prosecutions of a senior al-Qaeda leader on U.S. soil. Shortly after taking office, President Obama pledged to try terror suspects like Abu Ghaith in federal court instead of before a military tribunal at Guantanamo Bay, a decision that baffles some lawmakers.
We're now setting a new precedent that will come back to bite us. You're putting people like this into federal court, giving them the same constitutional rights as an American citizen.
The Obama administration says national security officials unanimously agreed to prosecute Abu Ghaith in civilian court, saying it's the best move for U.S. security. Now, the judge plans to set a trial date at the next conference on the case, and that conference is scheduled for April 8th. Prosecutors believe the trial will last about 3 weeks.
CBN News terrorism analyst Eric Stakelbeck joins us now with more. Eric, President Obama has been pushing to have terrorism suspects tried in U.S. federal courts since 2009. Why does he want this?
Well, I think it's a big mistake, Wendy. He believes that this so-called war on terror, the war with radical Islam, or radical Islam's war against us, should be settled in federal courts because he believes, Wendy, it is a criminal matter. It's not a war. Guantanamo Bay, which he and others on the Democratic side have said they want to close. Look, they want to put these terrorists in front of military tribunals there and treat them as enemy combatants in the battlefield, which is really what they are. Wendy, think of Germany, 1945, the Nuremberg trials, where you had these Nazi war criminals on trial there. That's what I believe we need for al-Qaeda and these global jihadists. But the president and the administration have a much different view, and they want these guys charged really as common criminals, Wendy, with rapists and murderers who are heinous individuals, no doubt, but they're not on the battlefield at war against the United States like these al-Qaeda figures are. So I don't think it's a good match to have them in federal courts. And also, Wendy, it makes these federal courts a target for terrorists. I think that's the other downside here.
Well, the president has said since the first presidential campaign that he wants to close Gitmo. Is he any closer to doing that?
You know, it doesn't seem that way. In the first term, I think he went in with a lot of grandiose plans, Wendy, in his first term to kind of do away with a lot of the Bush administration's tactics in the war on terror. Well, he's using those very same tactics, even more so in the case of drone strikes against al-Qaeda. And yes, he has kept Guantanamo Bay open as well, which has angered his leftist base. But where else is he going to put them, Wendy? Is he going to put these hardened al-Qaeda terrorists at Guantanamo Bay? Is he going to put them in federal prisons in the U.S.? it's a good possibility because in this second term, we're seeing that he really feels, the president, that he has no restrainers. So it's a possibility. But right now, Guantanamo Bay is going to stay open for the foreseeable future.
Eric, if Abu Ghaith is convicted, he would be placed in a U.S. prison, right?
Yeah, it appears that way, Wendy. He would be in a federal prison. And look, there is a precedent here. There are other al-Qaeda terrorists in federal prisons. You think of the Blind Sheikh, the infamous Blind Sheikh who was behind the first World Trade Center bombing, Wendy, back in '93. He's in a federal prison in North Carolina. That's probably the biggest example. So there is a precedent here. And other al-Qaeda jihadists are in federal prisons. But I continue to believe, Wendy, that the best way to do this, and not just me saying it, figures at the Pentagon and our military saying it, that military tribunals are the way to go. Treat these guys as enemy combatants in the battlefield. The Blind Sheikh, who I mentioned, he was arrested 20 years ago, Wendy, before this whole war on terror really started. Treat these guys who are arrested now as enemy combatants in the battlefield at war against the United States, just like the Nazis were treated in 1945.
All right, Eric Stackelback, we always appreciate your insights. Thanks.
Thank you, Wendy.
North Korea's government is vowing to end all non-aggression pacts with the South. They say beginning Monday, a North-South hotline will be cut off. Monday is also when South Korea and the United States are set to begin joint military drills. This latest threat is in response to new United Nations sanctions over last month's nuclear test in North Korea. It comes just one day after Pyongyang warned it would make a preemptive nuclear strike against the U.S.
The Vatican says the conclave to elect a new pope will begin next Tuesday. The announcement came today after the last cardinal-elect arrived in Rome last night. In the past 100 years, no conclave has lasted longer than 5 days. But with no clear frontrunner, already some cardinals are warning that may not be the case this time around.
An early vote favors the insiders, and that means, above all, the people well known in Rome. That includes all of the Italians.
Many Vatican-based cardinals have been pushing for a quick decision-making process, but some say that may be to limit the amount of dirty laundry being aired.
The formal state funeral of Venezuelan dictator Hugo Chavez was held today in the country's capital of Caracas. Thousands of mourners waited in mile-long lines to pay their final respects. Leaders from 5 continents were on hand for the ceremony. Chavez's body has laid in state at the country's military academy since Wednesday. Countries from China to Iran have uncharacteristically declared days of national mourning for the late leader.
Here at home, former President Bill Clinton says the Supreme Court should overturn the Defense of Marriage Act called DOMA. Clinton signed that law in 1996 when he was president. It says that marriage is between one man and one woman. That means a state where gay marriage is illegal doesn't have to recognize gay marriage from another state. It also means gay married couples don't receive federal benefits. But Clinton writes in the Washington Post that he now believes the law discriminates against same-sex couples, and he calls it unconstitutional. The Supreme Court will hear cases on gay marriage, including DOMA, on March 27th.
A burst of hiring in the February jobs report. More than 200,000 jobs were added, reducing the unemployment rate to 7.7% from 7.9% in January. That's the lowest level in 4 years. Increased auto sales and a steady housing recovery are spurring more hiring, which could trigger more consumer spending and stronger economic growth.
A Senate panel approves the first new federal gun legislation since December's deadly elementary school shooting. The Senate Judiciary Committee voted Thursday to toughen laws against straw purchases. That's when people legally buy guns for others who are barred from doing so, such as criminals. The panel also debated bills banning assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, but they recessed before voting on any more proposed legislation. Well, while many of us tend to think of guns as a guy thing, it may surprise you to learn women actually make up the fastest-growing segment of U.S. gun owners.
Yeah, gun stores and shooting ranges are cashing in on the trend by offering products and services specifically for the ladies. Andrea Garrett has the story.
In Albuquerque, New Mexico, Caliber's Shooting Sports Center has seen a 40% surge in female customers in the last 2 years.
It is somewhat empowering for a female to be able to protect herself with this specific tool.
Lindsay Fassler is a firearms instructor at Calibers, and she teaches a ladies-only class.
We don't go into shotguns, we don't go into any AR-15 type things, we stick with just handguns.
It's a trend reflected across the country. In 2005, just 13% of U.S. gun owners were women. Today, that number is 23%, a 77% increase in the last 7 years. While women are showing more interest in shooting sports these days, most women will tell you they're buying a gun for another reason: self-defense. Fassler says many of her students are single women, as well as single moms, who don't think pepper spray or whistles offer enough protection.
Especially those single mothers who are by themselves. They really want to make sure that they can handle whatever they need to handle.
It's just the fact that for me it would be that if I needed it, it would be there as a last resort.
Andrea Garrett, CBN News.
President Obama is courting evangelicals to help him pass immigration reform. He met today with about a dozen faith leaders at the White House. He's urging them to make reform a priority. The Hispanic Evangelicals Association Reverend Samuel Rodriguez tells CBN News, quote, "Today's meeting invigorated me with hope and optimism. The president's resolve, in conjunction with evangelical support, facilitate the prescription for a comprehensive resolution addressing America's immigration crisis. I am convinced that with prayer and prophetic activism, we will live out Matthew 25 and welcome the stranger in the name of Jesus." Immigration reform is one of the president's top priorities of his second term.
The Obama administration is postponing an award for an Egyptian women's rights activist because of anti-American and anti-Semitic comments posted on her Twitter account. Samira Ibrahim was going to be one of 10 recipients of the International Women of Courage Award. But the Weekly Standard Online found that Ibrahim supported the attack on the U.S. consulate in Libya last September 11th. She applauded a bus attack that killed 5 Israelis, and she attributed all crimes against society to Jews. Ibrahim denies writing the messages. She claims her Twitter account was hacked. Illinois Democratic Senator Mark Kirk calls that claim dubious, and Ibrahim refuses to apologize for her anti-Zionist statements.
Well, they can't get a break in the Northeast. That powerful winter storm that belted the Midwest and Mid-Atlantic is set to hit New England. A nor'easter is expected to bring snow, strong winds, and water from the Atlantic to the region. Coastal towns in Massachusetts are bracing for some dangerous waves.
Once these seas fill, they're going to keep building, and then they're going to get more intense.
It's 2 hours after high tide, and it's just still coming in. So the next 3 tide cycles, I'll take water on in the basement.
Central Massachusetts and parts of Rhode Island could see anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of snow. In Connecticut, they're expecting about 6 inches.
Coming up, what do you know about the Mahdi? Joel Rosenberg reveals all in his End Times thriller.
The game show of biblical proportions is back with more action, more fun, more stars, Kirk Franklin, Mary, and more nuns.
The nuns just whooped you, man.
The American Bible Challenge Season 2 premieres Thursday, March 21st at 9, 8 Central, only on GSN. Visit GSNTV.com to find GSN in your area.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
The game show of biblical proportions is back with more action, more fun, More stars, Kirk Franklin, Mary Mary, and more nuns.
The nuns just whooped you, man.
The American Bible Challenge Season 2 premieres Thursday, March 21st at 9, 8 Central, only on GSN. Visit GSNTV.com to find GSN in your area.
Well, Joel Rosenberg, he writes books that are not only entertaining, they're often prophetic.
And he's done it again in his new book, Damascus Countdown. Take a look.
Damascus Countdown is an adrenaline-charged thriller ripped from future headlines. New York Times bestselling author Joel C. Rosenberg offers the third and final installment in the 12th Imam series. In Damascus Countdown, all eyes are on the Middle East as Israel launches an attack on Iran's nuclear sites, and Iran's 12th Imam orders a full-scale retaliation. As world events threaten to spin out of control, CIA operative David Shirazi is on a mission to hunt down Iran's 2 remaining nuclear warheads aimed at Israel. Can he prevent a nuclear holocaust as Syria enters the picture and Iran plans a genocidal retaliation?
Joel Rosenberg has a knack for writing fiction that is chillingly close to reality, and he's done it again in his new book, Damascus Countdown. Welcome, Joel. Thank you for your time today.
Good to be with you. Thank you, Mark.
We appreciate it. Now, here I have a copy of the book, of course. It starts with Israel launching a preemptive strike against Iran's nuclear facilities. Would you say that's a very likely possibility?
I think we're getting into the end game now. And that means a strike could come in the next few weeks, months. It's hard to say, but people are talking about 2013 as the year of the end game.
You know, if push comes to shove, do you feel like that the Obama administration would support Israel, or do you think they would distance themselves if a preemptive strike happened?
The president has been clear thus far in the last 4 years. He does not want to see a preemptive strike by Israel, and he does not plan one himself. So the question is whether he'd give a green light to Israel to take that strike, or would he say, if you do that, I will, cut off funding, or some type of break would happen in our relationship. And I don't know that that's clear right now, and that's what concerns the Israelis. They want clarity as Iran gets closer to the red line that Netanyahu has said, if they cross it, we're going to war.
Let's talk a little bit more about that confusion and related to the Obama administration. It says it supports Israel, but do the actions back up the rhetoric?
Well, it's a mixed bag. I don't think it's fair to say that the president is anti-Israel. And many people, particularly many Christians, believe that. But the president has supported funding for the missile defense system called the Arrow in Israel. He has supported funding for the rocket defense system called the Iron Dome. The president didn't condemn Israel when it had to go to war against the Hamas terrorist organization in Gaza. But the president wants Netanyahu to divide Jerusalem. The president wants Israel to withdraw to the 1967 borders and create a sovereign Palestinian state, even though those 67 borders are not defensible. And the president has pressured Israel, as in Damascus Countdown, not to go to war with Iran, to keep waiting, even though Israel faces the potential of a nuclear holocaust. So that's a mixed bag, positive in some areas, but very problematic in others.
Okay, and quickly, what do you think is the very next step that Israel may take?
I think the main thing Israel will do next is wait to hear from the president. Where are you, Mr. President, on an Iran strike? And also dealing with the meltdown of Syria, which has chemical and biological weapons, which could fall into the hands of Iran or other enemies of Israel. So the next few weeks, the whole world is going to be talking about Israel, Iran, and Syria, because the president is going to make that front and center. I think Damascus Countdown is one fictional scenario of how it could play out. I hope it doesn't happen that way. We need to pray for the peace of Jerusalem more than ever.
Amen, amen. But once again, the book is Damascus Countdown by Joel C. Rosenberg. You can find out more about the book and how to get a copy by going to our website at cbnnews.com. Joel, it's always a pleasure.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
And up next, millions and millions of birds stop in Israel. We'll tell you why they're flocking to the Holy Land.
Listen up for an amazing offer that can change the way you hear.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat that?
Frustrated with your hearing?
What did he say?
Well, hear better now. Introducing the fully rechargeable MSA 30X, a revolutionary device that features the latest microsound amplification technology that can barely be seen. Independently tested to help you hear up to 30 times better. It turns ordinary hearing into extraordinary hearing. MSA 30X works by capturing and amplifying sound waves, yet its lightweight ergoacoustic design is discreet. It form-fits in and around either ear.
I forget I'm even wearing it.
And MSA 30X is powerful. Hear clearly in restaurants. Never miss another word on TV or at the movies.
My wife complains that I have the volume up on the TV too loud.
And I didn't want to be in the same room with them.
Now I can hear everything clearly.
Simply adjust the volume as you desire. Other units use so many batteries and they're difficult to change. But the MSA 30X is completely rechargeable. Simply plug it into the wall.
I tried other devices that had batteries, but they were always such a pain to change and so costly. But this is rechargeable, so I figure I save hundreds a year.
Bulky sound amplifiers can cost hundreds, but try MSA 30X for just $59.95 and we'll include a cleaning brush and 5 comfort tips. But wait, in this special TV offer, we'll cut the price in half. Now you can hear up to 30 times better for just $29.95. But there's even more. We'll double the offer free. Just pay additional processing and handling. Wear them both or give one to a loved one. Did you hear that? That's 2 MSA 30Xs for just $29.95. The MSA 30X Hear Better Now offer. Get 2 for just $29.95.
All I can say is just try it. It could change your life.
To order the MSA 30X sound amplifier, call 1-800-535-0654. That's 1-800-535-0654. Or you can go to MSA30X.com. Call or go online now.
Most news out of the Middle East deals with violence and unrest, but it's also a land of great beauty and natural wonders.
Sure is. And twice a year, about 500 million birds migrate through Israel. That's because it lies along one of the world's major migration routes.
Yeah, Chris Mitchell brings us the remarkable story in tonight's Focus Report.
The Hula Valley hosts millions of birds and thousands of visitors each year.
This is one of the richest sites in the world for bird watching.
Israel sort of is a junction between 3 continents, and birds that are essentially trying to avoid high mountains, great expanses of water, they funnel through very specific flyways.
Some of these migrating birds fly 2,000 miles in 3 to 5 days without a meal. They fly from Europe and Asia to Africa. For many, Israel is the halfway point. That point is the Hula Valley, part of a 3,700-mile stretch from Syria to Mozambique. The Bible mentions the bird migration as part of a metaphor. Even the stork in the sky knows her seasons, and the turtle dove and the swift and the thrush observe the time of their migration. Some 400 species of birds stop for refueling, and a fraction even winters here, including 30 to 45,000 cranes. Listening to them talk, one can understand why King Hezekiah said he chattered like a crane. In fact, it's not just noise. Experts say crane parents and chicks can actually recognize each other's voices. 20 years ago, there were hardly any cranes here because the natural swamps would drain for farmland. The ground didn't work for agriculture, however, so experts restored part of the lake.
And the answer was essentially to give it back to nature. And so the project has gone sort of in a circle, and we are back to trying to renovate, trying to sort of reproduce what existed here in the past.
That and a special feeding project brought the cranes back, along with the visitors.
This is a wonderful opportunity for us to educate people about birds, about nature. I think that you don't need to be a bird lover when you are coming here, but you are definitely a bird lover when you are going out of this site.
Visitors to Agamon Hahula Reserve can ride the safari wagon into the midst of the cranes. Guides say there's no place else in the world to see so many cranes in such a small area. And bird watchers come from all over to see the phenomenon.
I don't even care if you like birds. You have to experience this and come and see thousands and thousands and thousands of cranes.
If you're a birder, I don't think you could find a better place to come to see the variety of species, as well as the atmosphere and the beauty of the place. It's just unrivaled in any place in the world.
For now, these cranes are getting ready for the long flight back to Russia or Finland for the summer. But they'll be back next year, along with the bird lovers. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Agaman, Hahula.
Well, up next, they may be just a little too young to wed, but as one elementary teacher puts it, they're never too young to learn their alphabet.
Ow, my feet hurt. My feet hurt, your feet hurt. White hot pain, I wanna cry. Is there anything I can try?
Why, yes! Introducing Strut Soul Angels, the human shock absorber that helps alleviate foot pain.
The first 10 steps in the morning to the bathroom were excruciating. Within 3 days after I put Struts on, it's been such a relief.
Slipped it on and almost immediately I felt a support, kind of like a pillow underneath my arches.
The Struts Soul Angel provides a great amount of relief and support throughout the course of the day, providing shock absorption and relief of pain.
On your feet without proper support can be painful. Strut Soul Angels promotes better balance, control, and body alignment. Standing in your heels all day is painful, but slip on Struts and you'll enjoy comfort and support 24/7. Struts is so versatile, you'll wear them in every shoe you own, even barefoot.
I'm on my feet all the time. I teach 11 and 12-year-olds. The pain was so much that I knew I had to do something. And with the Struts, I can do my job and enjoy my job.
I usually am on my feet from 8 to 12 hours a day. When I wear my Struts, it's like giving my feet a hug all day.
It's life-changing. I wear them from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed.
Why pay $400 for custom orthotics?
Now get Strut Soul Angels for just $10. You also get Miracle Foot Repair Cream, absolutely free. Use it to help relieve dry, callous feet overnight. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Plus, you get a 100% money-back guarantee. If not completely delighted, send it back. But keep the foot cream as our gift just for trying. You get it all. A $70 value for just $10.
Oh, yes! Love my Struts, love my Struts. The best thing since sliced bread. They heal pain from toes to head. Get yours now, your doctor said.
Struts. Be nice to your feet. Call now.
Call 1-800-787-1580 and get your Struts and Miracle Foot Repair for just $10 and we'll double the offer. That's 1-800-787-1580 or visit getstruts.com.
A Kansas teacher is thinking outside the box.
And giving students a lesson on the alphabet they will never forget.
I like to think outside the box, and creativity is probably one of my biggest strengths. And we do a letter a week. I thought, you know what, Q and U always go together. They've got to get married.
Farley Elementary School kindergarten teacher Nikki Meyer planned a wedding for her class, all to celebrate the special partnership between the letters Q and U in the alphabet. Students dressed up and some were even in the mock bridal party. Parents and family were invited to take part in the festivities, from the reception and the dancing to the cake and the punch. Meyer says the hardest part of the day was finding a kindergarten boy to play the groom, but it looks like someone volunteered right there. He looked more like a pilgrim, but he was wearing the Q. I get it, the Q and the U, and then they get married. And
that's
isn't
right.
That just
I'm glad it wasn't Q and Q or U and U. I'm glad it was Q and U.
Absolutely. Let's keep our gender neutral alphabet.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.